Hello, everybody, and welcome to an RPG first look at a brand new game I am very excited to look at. I've had the physical copy for a little while, but I wanted to save it so we can look at it together. We're going to take a look at Mork Borg today, which is not the name of a Swedish tennis player. It is the name of an extremely bright yellow role-playing game from Stockholm Cartel. So Stockholm Cartel sent me a copy of Mork Borg, which is this game that you cannot see. It's currently invisible because it's so bright yellow. Also, that's kind of cool, actually. I wish it was transparent. But look at it. Look, it's got like a cool goat skeleton on it. And then at the back, it's got this pentagram goat. It's perfect for me. I don't know if it's a good role-playing game. That's what we're gonna find out today. But aesthetically, this book is beautiful. So they sent me a copy of, this is Mork Borg. I also got sent a map of the world of Mork Borg, which is also invisible. And then of course, this little adventure pamphlet that you can't see called Ancient Skin. So the description of this game, I will read to you from the back of the book here, and you can check it out. There's a command in chat. If you just ! Mork Borg, it will take you to their website. There's a character creator. There is a bunch of merch. There's some other cool stuff, and you can pre-order the game at their website, Mork Borg FL. Go to the bit.ly link there. But I will describe it to you, and then we're gonna do our thing. We're gonna dig in. We're gonna see what the game is about. We're gonna see how it's about that, and we're gonna see what the mechanisms of the game reward the players for doing. But according to the back of the text, Mork Borg is really not suitable for those under 16 years of age. It is a doom metal album of a game, a spiked flail to the face, rules light, heavy everything else. So that's the description. It is a rules light, spiked flail to the face, a doom metal album of a game, bold claims from a role-playing game. Bold claims. I often, as much as I love overwrought heavy metal, most of the time when someone makes a claim like that, I'm like, I bet you this is bullshit. But looking at the art of this book, I think they've got an aesthetic. And for that, I'm going to applaud them. We're going to dig in and we're going to see what the rest of the game is actually about. We're going to learn about the game itself and see if it's a book worth looking at or a game worth playing or both. So let's dig into Mork Borg. This is the cover on the physical version. And I think if you're going to get this game, the physical version is a must. And I'll show you why a couple of times throughout. But this shield is spot gloss on the front. So the cover of the book is all matte. It's a matte finish, but the shield and the blood on it is like a spot gloss treatment. It's really nice. So this is the cover. It's got this like great kind of like hastily painted title and then a sketchy skeleton drawing. And it's made by Pelle Nilsson and Johan Moore. And I love the credit for the art here. Graphic design and art by Johan Noor and Dead People. Which is, it's not untrue. We'll see as we dig in. So this is made by Occult Ortmastar Games and Stockholm Cartel. And I'm super curious to see the rules that underlie this beautiful, weird looking game. So here we go. Let's dig in. So I think we're seeing a lot more of this in kind of OSR or like zine games where we see tables at the beginning and end, right? Referential tables. This is that same skeleton from the front page, from the cover, but apparently someone took his sword away and jammed it in his face. Yeah. And so we start with tables, right? And remember, I've said it before. I will say it again. I will continue to say it for the rest of life. Random tables are setting, right? So this is a way to let us know about the setting, right? It is a setting in which corpse plundering is a thing. It's a setting where there's traps and devilry. We need to know the weather, and this tells us what kind of weather we get, right? occult treasures like the black crown of the crippled king or a black pearl or whatever a vampiric furba is, right? Those are parts of the setting, right? So this is all setting material here on the inside cover. So I might be a character named Jotna. I might be Prugel. My character might need Urvarg, right? And I might need to know that it is a lifeless gray day, right? So yeah, these are all tables that imply setting to us. Setting, and when I say setting, I don't just mean physicality of setting. I don't just mean like, here's a table of random names for rivers. What I mean is setting in terms of what happens in the game, the kinds of things that exist in the game, events, locations, weather, people, items, violence, classes. Like, you can set tone just as easily as you set action. So this tells us a lot about the setting of the game right away, right? And then we get into the... Now, I love this. I love that this is... massively different from page to page. You're going to see this. I think this works with a zine, but like the graphic design and the layout of the game varies wildly from page to page. And I think if you saw in this a comparison to Mother, right? If you looked at this and you were like, this reminds me of Mother, there's a reason for that. At the very least, I'm going to lay that connection on the shoulders of Fiona Maeve Geist. Fiona was a contributing member of Mother and at least one of the other supplements. So I think some of this is definitely Fiona's influence. She does good work. So that for me was a connection as well, where I was like, hey, I know that name. Cool. So yeah, this is just the interior cover. The things that I like about this. Yeah, Mothership. Exactly. Yeah. The things that I like about this is, first of all, we get where it was printed, what kind of paper it was printed on, and that there are over 100 typefaces, which is a weird flex, but okay, graphic designers. And then right underneath, music that helped. Now, I don't know about you, but when a game includes music that helped and I am preparing for that game, I will listen to everything on this list, right? Like if I'm going to go in and I'm going to put together a Mork Borg game, I'm going to listen to Sun. I'm going to listen to Godspeed You Black Emperor. I'm going to listen to Bong Ripper and Bongzilla and Dark Buddha Rising. I'm going to rock some Dark Throne because for me, the connection to the music helps me get closer to the game's material, right? It helps me understand what the game is about. And because I'm already familiar with most of these bands, I can look at it and I can be like, okay, all right. So you're not just spouting bullshit when you say you're a doom metal album of a game, right? You understand what doom metal is. I think a lot of people, and this is true of the sort of heavy metal aesthetic a lot of the time, I think a lot of people understand the aesthetic, but don't actually like listen to the bands or understand the subculture at all. They're just like, it's a heavy metal role-playing game. And it's like, cool, what's your favorite metal band? And they're like, I don't really listen to metal. And it's like, okay, like, yeah, an outsider's perspective on a genre or an art form, super important, really cool. So if you present it as an outsider's view of heavy metal by way of a role-playing game, cool. But if you want to give people an opportunity to connect your art with someone else's art, then this music that helped can be really useful for that. I think, and credit where it's due, I think the first time I saw one of these, it was Burning Wheel, but the best one of these I've ever seen is Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is media that helped us make this game is like fucking 8 pages long. It's a lot and it's very cool. It's like books, fiction and otherwise, web pages, forums, music, movies, TV shows. Like I love this stuff, and Eclipse Phase get the top prize for it. But this is a pretty good list of some very good bands that I think helps me understand what Mork Borg is about. So let's continue into it. So The wind from the west, from the sundered land. Rot rides it, and the stench of blood. Cursed walker, will you travel there? To the valley of the unfortunate undead? Our young ones are taken by the child thief Tergal, known for his vile crimes and alchemy of flesh. All right. Okay. So we're still answering, what is Mork Borg about, right? As if this pale, lightless world possessed a will and bitter life, its mercy curdled to wrath over its too long age. Who are you? The grave robber with silver glittering between cracked fingernails, the mystic who would bend the world's miserable heart away from its inevitable end. Most likely, it makes little difference. No one has seen the sun in years. The old care more for sacrifice and god offerings than their bawling spawn. Doomsayers are proved right time and time again and embraced by hidden powers. Maybe it's time to surrender, to trust your own instinct and skill rather than whim of the dice, before all is drowned in welcome silence. Life locked and failing in a dark fort. So dark fort. That's the name of the game. Mork Borg is dark fort in Swedish. So yeah, this is our presentation of like, what is the game about? I really like this super grainy photography style art, but like this guy wins the page. This little fucker up here. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I mean about like massive, check out the aesthetic from just the pages we've seen so far, right? Check this out. So bright yellow with like courier font, kind of looks like a computer, to heavy metal interior album art, to grim historical document with courier font, to now like art zine, right? With the shaded letter or the shaded numbers and this like bright pink cross 2-page like blast of color. Yeah, it's, and then we have another font choice here. So this is telling us about the setting of the game, right? We know that it is an apocalyptic world of literal darkness in this case. We're learning a bit about the two-headed basilisks, which is a branch of the church. We're getting a ton of like kind of setting ephemera to hook us into the game, right? All of this stuff is that, right? Little stories. And I will say it's committing a little bit of the sin of putting aesthetics before game, which makes me think that it's more interested in being an art piece than a role-playing game for now, but we'll have to get into the game itself. It's a bit of whiplash, right? Because it starts with this like game stuff. Here's a bunch of out of context game stuff, and then pages of setting, which are evocative and interesting, and certainly in a poetic sense, really, really useful. But I'm curious to see how much of this we need before we can get into the like, so what do we do with this game? Who are we? What are we doing? How do we engage with all this cool setting material, right? So this is the sort of metaphorical map of the game. Again, presented in a very unorthodox way. It is really cool seeing that there are other groups, other RPG producers that make games that look like this, that aren't like garbage human beings. Because I think this aesthetic, it's not new. This kind of scratchy, over photocopied, pasted together mosaic kind of, look, this metal zine look, it's not new. But I feel like most of the people we associate this style with are also like deeply shitty individuals. I'm thinking of a few, but I don't want to get too into it. I'm just saying I'm really glad that we're seeing more of this from more people, right? That it isn't one game company that owns this kind of heavy metal cut and paste art style. It's nice to see it getting claimed by other people. So thank you for that, Stockholm Cartel, for not shying away from the aesthetic that you want to do. So this is Tveiland, I think, is our setting. And this is all setting material. And it's very cool, but not the thing that I would look at on my first look. But then again, if you look, check this out. Hard right turn again to now pinkish red, like magenta gothic with the hard stamp kind of post-apocalypse vibe. Yeah, if you suffer from aesthetic whiplash, this game will probably turn you off, but I'm pretty into it. Again, not sure if it's a game that I would want to play because I haven't found the game in it yet, but some pretty cool aesthetics. I can imagine what this world looks and feels like, right? Again, brilliant art, indicative of what might occur in the game. You might meet a beautiful lady and she might rip your head off. Right. And that's Tristere makes a good point. Is it aesthetic whiplash or is whiplash the aesthetic? I think you're right. Like, I mean, obviously, right? This is the thing about a strong aesthetic is you don't do it by accident. So I guess this is Anthelia, the Blood Countess? Yeah, must be. That's Anthelia, the Blood Countess. Okay. And then we have the Western Kingdom called the Wasteland in the Songs of the Simple and Rhymes of the Poor. And within the Western Kingdom is the Valley of the Unfortunate Undead, which are these sad folks. Yeah, it's interesting because, you know, I think that this jumbled aesthetic is a thing. We've seen it in role-playing games before. Vampire the Masquerade, for example, is the new version is hundreds of pages of jumbled aesthetic. And for some people, it's a massive turnoff. For others, not so much. I read a lot of heavy metal fanzines as a kid. So for me, this aesthetic, this aesthetic moving into role-playing games is like actually pretty cool. I kind of like it. But as a reference tome, like if this book were not invisible, if this book were like 400 pages, I probably couldn't handle this. But reading it front to back, it feels as much like an art book as it does a role-playing game, which I think is fine if your book is small and the game is not super complicated. Like they said, rules light, heavy everything else. Also tag yourself. I am upside down cross forehead horn helmet. Yeah. But also like this guy, I know these are shoulder pads, but it also looks like he's doing this, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I am pointy hat with long hair. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. Here we go. We have a rule. Look. Okay, so this is significant. So above and beyond the in-cover appendices, here is our first rule. Falls under the calendar of Nethrabel. The world trembles. One can feel it in ways sharp and subtle, mysterious and clear. One by one, inevitable events demand their place. Illustrating this, the game master, GM, rolls a die each dawn. Yeah, there we go. Rolls a die each dawn. A result of one activates one misery. The die used is determined by the GM in the group. The GM then rolls D66 to determine which misery occurs. The same misery will not befall the world twice. Setting. So this is setting material, right? So if you roll a D100, let's see, the rolls that I each every day you roll it. So there's a 1 in 100 chance. Oh, wow. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. So here's how it works. The first rule of the game is when will the world end? That's our first mechanic. An apocalypse mechanic. That's very cool. So every day the GM rolls. As a group, it also implies to us that you have to have a session 0, right? The group decides together, is the world going to last almost no time? Is it going to last a month? Is it going to last a while, right? A fall in English? Is it going to be a bleak half year? Or is it going to be years of pain? Because what this is saying is there a 1 in 2, 1 in 6, 1 in 10, 1 in 20, or 1 in 100 chance a misery occurs, right? The 7th misery, oh my God, and then this is a biblical, get the fuck out of here. It's biblical Psalms, but it's also Holy shit. It's also a table. This is a page from a fake Bible, but it's also a random table. Wow. That is a really great use of the aesthetic as a mechanism. The seventh misery will always be 7-7, and the world finally dies. The seventh seal is broken for the seventh and final time. Your game and your lives end here. Burn the book. Wow. That's fucking cool. So the hack of this game that most people will play is, yeah, we're going to play Mork Borg, but we have a house rule where at the end of the campaign, we don't burn the book. But that's fucking cool. Like, it's one of those things where, like, obviously most people won't do it, but it's a rule, right? And this is why game design matters, is that if you have an aesthetic in mind and you want to impart it to your players, the way you can do that is making rules for the game, right? Yeah, that's pretty damn cool. It can be, burn an effigy of the book, right? Like, do that instead. That's a hack too, right? Would 100% burn the book. Burn it like a ritual. Delete the PDF. Yeah, right? Corrupt your original file. Yeah, or burn your prep notes. Exactly. Because again, it's part of the play ritual. The world is dead, right? To symbolize the world being dead, we're going to wave this magnet over this cheap hard drive. Yeah, cool. So basically, you have seven miseries that will indicate the end of the world, right? 7 miseries to end the world. How quickly you end those miseries, how quickly that happens, depends on when will all this agony end, right? If you only have a 1 in 100 chance, it could theoretically take 100 days. Mathematically, 100 days, and then 1 in 100 chance to do it. So 700 days in game, right? So it really puts a timer on things. This is a form of countdown clock for the campaign, right? So you'd have to be like, all right, everybody, we're at misery 6, and there's a 1 in 10 chance every day. Do you really want to rest for a week? When we get to healing, right? When we get to healing, remember, healing matters, because if the end is nigh, there's a 1 in 2 chance for the end of the game. Yeah, this symbol, the T here, I believe that's because the Swedish word for die starts with a T, right? Also, a D66 is just 2 D6s. You just treat a D6. Yeah, terning. Okay. Yeah, so it's a T2, a T6, a T10, a T20, or a T100. Yeah. That is fucking cool. And I love that it's A, the first rule, B, it's a biblical layout for the table. Get the fuck out of here. So smart. And I love that it has this ritual of like, we're an hour into the setting. We're an hour into our session. We've played 20 sessions. We're about to enter the dungeon. Good morning, everyone. Roll the die. Unfortunately, we will not be completing this adventure. All praise yet Sabunech, the underworld's nightmare, the black disk which stands before the sun. All praise Verhu, beaming with delight. All praise the fire which burns all, and the darkness shall swallow the darkness. And then you just light your character sheets on fire, fucking listen to Slayer, and go for a drive to the Burger King in your Camaro. Get yourself a Whopper. The end. Fuck, that's cool. That's so fucking cool. Man. So I love that there are enough here that your world will end differently every time, and that the game is both bounded by 7 miseries, and on top of that, you choose how quickly the game becomes miserable. Do we want the game setting to cover the last days of the world, or do we want to drag out 6 months of pain? That's so fucking cool. Yeah, Slayer seems like pop music compared to this setting. I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah. So yeah, let's take a crack at a couple of these. Let's look at these. So, and these are prompts for the GM, right? Because when you read these prompts, it tells you this is new thing about the world, right? It's a moving setting. So up until now, things were a certain way, but we rolled and we got Psalm 3, verse 3. And hunger shall come among you. You shall dig roots and pull children from the breast. The gaunt shall prey upon the gaunt. And now that's true about the rest of the world. No matter how much you eat, you cannot grow satiated. Everyone is hungry now until the world ends. Total campaign shift, right? Then the next time there's a misery, maybe you get Psalm 5, verse 6. And the last king and the last queen shall wither to dust. Their wretched courts are devoured by wolves. Uh-oh, now everybody's hungry and there's no rule. Nobody rules anymore. Until eventually all praise Yetsabunek, the underworld's nightmare, and that's the end of the game. And how quickly that happens depends. Holy shit, that's so cool. Okay, you want to monetize this game for Twitch? Here's how you do it. You run the show and you run it on a cruel month, maybe, right? You run it on a quick system. So then every time somebody donates, it is a sacrifice to maintain the life of the world. It's a fucking, it's a subathon, but for the campaign setting. Make sacrifices. Throw your gold upon the altar. It's a role-playing game subathon. Yeah, you're paying tithe to an awful god. And in that case, the more you pay, the more psalms get dragged out. And yeah, you pay to continue the game. Yeah, sacrifices to keep the flame lit. Right? So that'd be the gimmick. That is really cool. These are very cool designs. Oh my God. So there's what I assume to be some player characters. In this world, there are those who seek riches or redemption. You know what this kind of reminds me of? This is something that I think is a good assessment is, what is it called? Blasphemous? Blasphemous. That's the one. It's got a similar vibe, but it's much more Swedish. To the point, can I just point out, Mork Borg is dedicated to Pele Dead Olin, 1969 to 1991. Damn. I mean, like, so not to dive too deeply into the 1990s black metal scene, but Dead was a very disturbed, mentally unwell musician. He was a young man who committed suicide in the 90s, and his suicide kind of sparked off a bunch of like really like fucked up shit that happened in that particular subculture. A lot of murders, some homophobia, some racism, a lot of burned churches. And while I think there is a subset of tabletop RPG fans who think that Varg Vikernes is a cool dude, fuck you, Varg. Fuck you, you racist piece of shit. Pele deserves our dedications. Yeah, fuck Varg. But that's really cool. And again, it's making a statement, and in its own way, it's making a specific kind of statement, right? It's saying like, hey, we're Dead fans. We're not Varg fans around here. In this house, we don't like that dude. That's pretty damn cool. So, in this world, there are those who seek riches or redemption. Some say the apocalypse is escapable and might even be stopped. And there you walk in discord and despair. One hand holds 2d6 times 10 silver. The other holds a water skin and d4 days of food. Your soul and your silver are your own and equally easy to lose. To begin with, you are what you own. You're nothing. You're a backpack. You're a sack. You're a small wagon. Or you're a donkey. Not bad. I am sack. But you got a 1 in 3 chance of being nothing. And you are also a magnesium strip, an unclean scroll, a sharp needle, a metal file and lockpicks, a bear trap, a bomb. So again, tables are setting, right? So how do we make a character? Randomize your starting equipment, randomize your weapon and armor, roll your abilities, roll your hit points, name your character if you wish. It will not save you. Optionally, start by choosing or randomizing a class and following the class instructions. Roll on the tables, roll a number of omens. So there's some optional classes. Yeah. It's pretty D4 monkeys that ignore but love you. I mean, I'd rather have a small but vicious dog or some lard or a big thing of Jello Biafra. So this is our weapon table. Again, tables are setting. I love that the first weapon you can start with is a femur, and it gets an entire page. An entire page dedicated to the femur club. But you also might be unarmed. You might have a staff, a short sword, a knife, a warhammer, a sword, a bow. Yep, the staff is doing the most. Yeah, just coming in from off screen. Again, presentation, right? You might have a flail. Oh my God, they're too big and powerful for this page. This is all the D4s and the D6s, but you want the big weapons. Come on over to this page. You get a D10, you get a crossbow with a D8, or you get a flail with a D8. I love that the flail has a big 8 on it. And this is part of that random table. Pretty damn cool. Zweihander in huge letters. Yeah, big shout out to Zweihander on this page. Yeah. Pretty rad. And then armor. Only D2 if you begin with a scroll. Scrolls never work when wielding Zweihand weapons or medium or heavy armor. You might get heavy armor, medium armor, light armor, or you might start with no armor. It looks like armor is randomly damage reductive. Yeah. So if you have heavy armor, you get a DR4 on agility checks. Your defense, spelled correctly, thank you, Sweden, is DR +2, and it's minus D6 damage. Now, I don't know if it's your damage or their damage. I guess we'll find out. It looks like it might be theirs, but there's also a defense bonus. So we'll see when we get there. And then here's an equipment table of all the stuff your character might have or need. I like down at the bottom here, who wouldn't forego fisticuffs for a grappling hook? All right. So again, massive sudden change in aesthetic. Watch the aesthetic change, again, over these 3 pages, right? Bright yellow with medieval fonts, big zine painting text, then bright pink with historical woodcut. Also, look at how happy these guys are. I'm stabbed in the chest. With a historical woodcut into a kind of 90s goth vibe, and then like a fucking Renaissance painting with a piece of hole punched paper on it. Like what? It's such whiplash. Yeah. So the abilities in this game are agility, presence, strength, and toughness. You roll 3d6, you get a modifier between -3 and +3, and tests are made using a d20 equal to or above your ability, or plus or minus your ability, with a result equal to or greater than the DR. Creatures don't use abilities, they just roll a d20 against a DR. For example, find bear trap, DR 14, or resist red poison, DR 12. And then these are the difficulty ratings, and you're gonna add or subtract this stuff, right? So I think, so Tristray again very astutely pointed out, this kind of layout actually makes it really easy to remember where information is in the book. Because now we remember abilities, Renaissance painting of a lion drowning, right? Like it's on this page, and flipping through it, you can find this page pretty easily. And this is also a summary of the rules, right? Yeah. You can carry strength +8 normal items without a problem. After that, when testing strength and agility, DR increases by 2. It is impossible to carry more than twice your strength. Perfect. Yeah. Again, like a grainy photograph of a heart. Also, can I just point out like how much I'm using this term ironically, so don't think I mean it seriously, look at how much wasted space there is in this game. Like, Mork Borg is how many pages? Does it even have fucking page numbers? No. Oh, I'm just looking at the adventure in the back. It's like less than 100 pages. It's like 80 pages, right? It could be 40. It could absolutely just be 40 pages, right? Because look how much wasted space there is. But that's good. I think that's really cool. Like, hit points on the page with the heart, toughness plus a D8, worst case 1 HP, 0 HP you're broken, negative HP you're dead. That's it. Like, it's very cool that it's just like a one page. There are page numbers, right? You can see them there, but I was just looking at pages that didn't have them. And then we get the little yellow line telling us this is what happens when you're broken. You fall unconscious, roll a D6, broken or severed limb. 6 is lost an eye, can't act for D4 rounds, then become active with D4 HP. Or you hemorrhage, death in 2D2 hours, or you're just dead. So if you hit exactly on 0, you're broken. But if you go too far, then you're just flat dead. If you go into negative HP. Interesting. Okay. So Eric in chat asks, I thought Adam gave up looking at first looks at OSR stuff. Nowhere in this game has it used the word OSR anywhere. The OSR is a brand, and this game does not subscribe to that brand. They don't use the phrase OSR, old school, anywhere. They don't call it an old school Renaissance or old school. That's why I wanted to look at it, because they chose not to do that so far. So yeah, it's nice because, again, like I said about that map art, I think it's time we move away from the Lamentations of the Flame Princess model and we just start making games, right? Yeah. I don't see it as being a very valuable selling point for a game anymore. It definitely feels like an OSR game in the sense that, 1, it's rules light, 2, it covers OSR style stuff, but 3, the mechanics aren't derived from basic D&D or AD&D. It just feels like a rules light, brutal dungeon crawl, which, yes, it does overlap with the OSR, and there will be lots of OSR fans that would like this game, but it doesn't call itself an OSR game, which I think for me, yeah, it's avant-garde for sure. Yeah. Which for me draws me to it in a way that if it was an OSR game, I don't know if I'd be interested, right? Because it says things about the designer's intent. Yeah. So, violence. Let's talk about violence. There is initiative, but it's very simple with an option for individual initiative. So it's just a D6. Either the enemies go first or you do. You can roll agility plus a D6 if you want, as an optional version of the rules. Players roll for both their attack and defense. Creatures and enemies don't roll dice in combat. There's the modifier. That's really cool. I mean, it's optional to determine who goes first within the group if you need to. Yeah. But this is really cool. So players make all the rolls. So you test your strength against DR12. You test your presence against DR12 to make a ranged attack. You test agility DR12 to avoid. Enemies attack once per round unless noted otherwise. Interesting. So that means that if you're wearing armor, your DR +2 on agility tests, including defense. So the DR actually gets high. Oh, clever. So that's the matrix, right? That's the matrix of attack and defense. So heavy armor, you roll a D6 and subtract damage, but your defense roll is worse. DR +2. Interesting. Okay, cool. So a shield just means it's like a dodge check, but if you fail the dodge check, you still get to do -D6 damage. And I also love breaking shields in games. I love when it's like ignore an attack, but your shield breaks. That's cool too. Yeah, because dodging is agility based. So they make damage resistance and dodging all part of this defense roll. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That seems neat. Got it. Okay, cool. Cool. So a natural 20 on attack, double damage. Armor damage is also reduced 1 tier. So if you're wearing heavy armor and someone crits you, which is to say you critically fumble your defense? Is that how that? Yeah. You fumble your defense, they break your armor and deal you double damage. If you fumble an attack, you break your weapon or you lose it. If you crit an attack, and it's all on the player end. Oh, that's fun. I like games where I like games where the GM doesn't have to roll, because then I can adjudicate much better without actually having to roll. Yeah, and so enemy takes a swing at you, you roll to dodge, you blow it, you're not wearing any armor. I'm like, you take 40 damage, you're like, shit, and then you put your shield up and it shatters, and then next time you don't get to use the shield. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. 16% chance of, weapon or armor breakage. More if you're getting attacked more often, right? Because you get that 16% chance. And again, macro, micro, right? The world is falling apart. Your gear breaking represents your place in the world, right? So if a game is about the slow degradation of the universe, obviously in a combat, you're going to be breaking your armor, breaking your weapons, breaking your shields. You're going to have to carry like 3 swords because you never know, right? And exactly, Mara, you are what you own. That's right. That's the first statement about your character, right? To begin with, you are what you own, right? Yeah, pretty cool. So you're also breaking too. I love it. I have no idea what the hell this is about, but I love it. So what? Okay, let's take a look here. So when you make a test, it is indeed a D20. So it's a D20 plus your ability. So if you're making a melee attack, say I've got +1 strength, it's a D20 +1 against a DR12 by default. Now, I bet you there are monsters who are like, to hit me, it's DR8 or DR15 or whatever, right? Yeah. Cool. Okay. And then, maybe you're like a man with a skeletal face and you've got a loincloth of leaves and you're trying to get away from this guy and his snood. Okay. All right. So there's 10 rounds in a minute. Here we go. Catch your breath, have a drink, restore D4 HP. Oh, he's got his arm hooked and he's drunk. And the drinking skeleton is like dragging him to the party. Yeah, got it. Yeah, okay. So let's see. You can restore D4 by catching your breath and having a drink. A full night's rest gives you a D6. You have, how many hit points do you start with? Toughness plus a D8. So between 1 and 11. Between 1 and 11. I like that healing is random. And if you rest, guess what the DM rolls, right? Listen, we all have no hit points left. We need to rest for at least 3 days. And the GM picks up 3d6 and is like, let us see the progress of this cruel month. You're eating up your time, right? With healing. That's, the world as a candle that is burning out is maybe my favorite. It's my favorite RPG mechanism since the solo play stuff in Ironsworn. I am just blown away. It's so cool. So without food or drink, no HP is restored. After 2 days, you start losing D4 HP. If you're infected, you don't gain a benefit from resting. Instead, you lose D6 HP. When you meet somebody whose reaction is uncertain, their reaction can go from kill to helpful in fairly even measure, right? And then morale, most enemies will not fight. This is some OSR type stuff because these mechanisms I think are pulled from basic D&D, right? People run away to live out the last of their days, right? They don't want to fight to the death. They want to try to live at this end of life. But if a character is a berserker who doesn't care about the end of the world, then maybe they automatically make morale checks, right? Look at that thing. All right, so this is a reward structure, right? This is improvement. This is how characters change. So getting better or worse, the game master decides when a character should be improved. It can be after completing a scenario, killing a mighty foe, or bringing home treasure. Now, I don't like that, right? I don't think that the GM should be responsible for improvement. I'm not a fan. I think that if you session zero it and you say, here is what I am going to tell you to do to improve, I think you can do that, right? Like, if you sit down and say, if you retrieve the cursed skull of the maggot queen, everybody will advance, then they know in advance that that's going to happen. I think that's better. I'm not a huge fan of this as a structure. But I guess it just puts all the effort on the group to do it together. So let's find out how our characters get better or worse. Roll 6d10. If the result is equal to or greater than your current maximum, increase it by d6. Left in the debris, you find silver, an unclean scroll, a sacred scroll. Okay. Roll a d6 against every ability. Results equal to or greater than the ability, increase it by 1. Results below the ability, decrease it by 1. There's the or worse. I think, if I had to guess, based on what I've seen so far, you can't use scrolls while you are wearing armor, and there have been unclean and sacred scrolls. I think it's wizard and priest magic. I think we'll get to that. I think you use items to cast spells. Abilities are always from -3 to +3. You just reroll your stats. So it's almost like it's getting different. How does the scenario change you? Which, if you made this more like a trait vote where we all sit down and talk about like, so we survived the cursed summer. Now we all change together. Then I think you'd do that, right? It's checking in, it's doing all that stuff. And then let's see how we change. Here's the answer. Okay, so these are spells. Spells are the first place where role-playing games really get a chance to get weird, so I'm excited. So a few so-called powers are known, and they are found in written scrolls. Roll presence plus D4 every morning to determine how many times you can use powers that day. Choose from your available scrolls. When reading a scroll, test presence DR12. If you succeed, the power is activated and you subtract 1 use from your daily total. If you fail, the power doesn't work, you lose D2 HP, and you become dizzy for the next hour. During this time, powers will always fail in the worst possible way. The GM decides the effect on a crit or fumble, but page 44 is an optional table of Arcane Catastrophes. So here are our spells. These are the unclean scrolls. If you cast Palms Open the Southern Gate, a ball of fire hits D2 creatures, dealing D8 damage per creature. If you cast Demon of Capillaries, someone suffocates for D6 rounds. You can summon foul psychopomps like skeletons or zombies. 9 violet signs unknot the storm. They're doing a really good job turning bullshit, boring magic missile names into very strange. I love that telekinesis is telekinesis. Right below the tongue of Eris. These are fucking cool. It's still basically just D&D spells, but you roll randomly to get them. Holy shit. All creatures within 30 feet lose a total of D10 HP. My immediate question on the death spell, how do you divide that D10 for D10 HP? Because I assume it's not all creatures within 30 feet lose 4d10 HP each. It's you roll 4d10, and then everyone within 30 feet of you has to divvy up that 4d10 hit point damage. Yeah. Like, I rolled 36 damage, and there's 5 of us, so we got to divide. I mean, I don't know, right? All creatures within 30 feet lose. I would allow this conversation at the table. Also, first of all, maybe you take turns. Maybe it kills the lowest first. It's an opportunity. It's what Vincent Baker would call the fruitful void, right? It's an opportunity for us to decide, how does this work in play? How does your version of the death spell work, right? Yeah. So I like the idea of it being a cost, right? That like either you pick a target and then I pick a target and we divvy them up like that. Or maybe it's like everybody, maybe we start based on some other weird thing, right? Only way to find out is make the roll. Yeah, if an enemy only has 10 hit points and you got to divvy up 20, I guess you take the other 10. Yeah, all creatures, you're within 30 feet of yourself. So those are the unclean scrolls. And then these are the sacred scrolls. And these are like cleric spells, right? Creature of choice gets plus D6. 3 questions asked to a deceased creature. Speak with animals. Find all traps, etc. Right? Yeah. Exactly. The spell's called death, not death to your enemy. Yeah. All right. So that's magic. Okay. Whoa. These are quests, right? Quests that can be given to you by the two-headed basilisk. Remember, the two-headed basilisk, let's roll back to the setting. It was described to us early on. Here we go. The basilisks are 2 and 2-headed. The 4 heads have argued for hundreds of years. Verhu predicts inexorable annihilation, and since he's always right, has become utterly full of himself. His is also the head worshipped most. If you could learn the codes of the apocalypse, perhaps the right offerings might avert it. Verhu loves his position and hungers for temples to be raised in his name. So there are 2 basilisks. They both have 2 heads, and they rule the world. And they might demand things. That's badass. So this is the boss. This is the boss quest giver. One of them. I think this isn't that one we were talking about. This looks like Lucy. Lucy and Ark make up the she basilisk. Okay. All right. So the basilisk might demand something of you. Optional rules include omens. Optional tables include trauma. This is so cool. Again, brand new color, right? This one-off silkscreen red pink. So omens or Yarteken, clearly the eyes of other powers are upon you. Eldritch watchers of the tangled fates of alternate worlds. Call it luck if you like. Every class gains a number of omens. If you play without classes, every character begins with D2 omens. When depleted, roll the class's designated die, or a D2, and regain that many omens after resting at least 6 hours. Use omens. Oh, they're luck points. Oh. You can use them to deal max damage, reroll a die, lower damage, neutralize a crit, lower one's test by -4. Interesting. Okay. So you have strange gods watching over you that give you dice to spend, or give you points to spend, and you recover them every day. I like it. I would use that option rule. I love luck points. Love them. Let's see. Your character might have trauma, a bad childhood, hidden history, or a twisted fate attending your birth already shaped you. You might have 2 bad traits for your character, right? You roll 2d20. You might be arrogant and nihilistic. You might be suffering from bipolar disorder. You might have problems with authority. My terrible traits are probably nihilistic and problems with authority. I think I rolled a 7 and a 3. Yeah, I think those would be my traits. Yep. Yeah, you could probably argue for vindictive on there maybe too. Yeah, I agree, Chrome Viper, and I wonder this is a bit of a trick, right? Because it's like a lot of these are just personal characteristics, like ruthless, bitter, deceitful. I think having bipolar disorder on here is a weird mix, because it's like, It's a real condition that affects real people. Oh, you need me to move? 20 is arrogant. I wonder if this is you could translate this differently. I wonder if the word used in the Swedish version also, on the one hand, we'll talk about this in a second. We'll come back to bipolar, but I fucking see you. I see you, Mork Borg. So I wonder if there is another way. They're staples. They're skeuomorphic staples. Let me see if this is in the real one too. What page are we on? 39. Yes, there are. That's really funny. Yeah, so I think they could have said something else instead of bipolar, like unpredictable or chaotic, or yeah. It feels to me like it doesn't fit with the rest of bipolar. Just means having two extremes. Yeah, I just don't think that this is the right word for what they're trying to say. Right? I get what they're saying, but yeah, and also the rules are these optional rules, they're stapled in because they're optional. It's pretty good. Okay. So if you need something about your character's body being broken, physical problems your character has, right? Creepy smiling skeleton thing. And then strange bad habits. I like how Nihilist is on here as well. Pyromaniac. Insecure shit stirrer. We'll talk about whoever left the room. You stutter when lying. You whistle when trying to hide. You will deny this. Whistle when 5, 7, 9, 11, or 13 is rolled on a d20. You make jewelry from the teeth of the dead, if this can be considered a bad habit. Oh my God. Your best friend's a skull. Oh no. Oh no, 10 is even worse. A nihilist. You insist on telling everyone you are a nihilist and explaining why. Can I just say this reference, this number 10, this is the most Swedish metal scene thing you could put in a game. Like, this is what Swedish metal fans are like. This is how you are. I've met you. I know. This is Swedish metal fans. This is they're like, yeah, I don't care about anything. And you're like, yeah, okay, we know. No, seriously, you guys, I don't believe in anything at all. I think that everything is just fake and you know, the school is just trying to program us, and my job at the convenience store, I'm just doing it so I can feed my stupid dying body. Really, everyone should be a nihilist like me. People like that. They are real. They are everywhere. And everyone who's ever been to a metal show has probably met one. Yeah, I like this band because they don't care about anything. It's great. It's, again, tables are setting, right? So this is a way to show for us that this is not only a game about metal, but a game that came from a particular scene, in the same way that dedicating it to Dead tells us something about the artist's intent. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. Let's see, what else? The whole group can share a random backstory generator. Fuck yeah. Can I just point out the rule for this table? Roll a d20 or throw a knife at the page to the right. Don't worry. Don't worry if you punch a hole in your book, you're going to burn it at the end. All right, Johan, hold the book up. No, a little higher. All right, Carl, give me my knife. No, shut up. Shut up, Johan. Stand still. Don't move, Johan. Yeah, cool. I dig it. And that's how Johan gets a knife in the face. And now, again, hard whiplash, right? So, 90s RPG zine. Whoosh, crack the whip as hard as you can, and bang. Now, we're a 1960s psychedelic zine. Now we've done 2 hits of the brown acid and we're trying to play a role-playing game, right? This becomes early 70s painting on the side of a van. This becomes like psychedelic zine about doing weed. We've gone from doom metal, right, to, oh God, like Hawkwind and like, yeah, it's still in the same aesthetic. It's just we've bumped it back a decade or two. So, yeah. You could find bands whose aesthetic is like this. What's the one? It was Hawkwind that Michael Moorcock was on, right? We've moved from 90s Swedish black metal to I don't know, Aleister Crowley, I guess. So these are the Arcane, makes sense, Arcane Catastrophes. Speaking of Aleister Crowley, these are the effects that if your spells fuck up might happen. Like your skin tatters like paper, your flesh melts like wax, and your intestines bloat like balloons, bursting and falling out until all that's left is a walking, talking skeleton. Right? You can still play your character. You're just a skeleton now. The light itself despises you. Yeah, this shit is great. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Optional classes. Ooh, okay, here we go. So, oh yeah, a caster who rolls the same result twice explodes in a screaming black fire in which the faces of the dead can be seen. Yeah. 5 twisted skeletal arms burst from your back. They are mischievous, violent, and cruel. All right, so we're going to get into classes. So can we be a fighter? Can we be a wizard? Can we be a ranger? No, we can be a fanged deserter. You have 30 or so friends who never let you down. Your teeth. Disloyal, deranged, or sometimes simply uncontrollable. Any group that didn't boot you out, you left anyway. But your parliament of teeth, enormous, protruding, thick, and sharp, have always been your allies. So that's a class. Yeah, I'm a wizard. Cool. I am a warrior with a mouthful of broken fangs. So you get 3d6 plus 2 for strength, 3d6 minus 1 for agility and presence. Agility tests are normally DR 14 for you. You are illiterate and can't read scrolls. If you begin with one, reroll, eat it, or use it as toilet paper. You begin with a crumpled monster mask, the brown scimitar of Galgenbeck, wizard teeth, Old Sigurd's sling, an ancient gorehound, or the shoe of death's horse. You get one of those. Yeah, that's why there's 6, because you can roll. And then you can pick an earliest memory. Or you might be a gutterborn scum. God, that is some creepypasta shit. Holy. An ill star smiled upon your birth. Poverty, crime, and bad parenting didn't help either. In your community, an honest day's work was never an option. Not that you ever tried. What are you, some kind of mug? A razor blade and a moonless night are worth a week of chump work. Oh, there's a bad birth table. Oh, mother hanged from a tree outside Galgenbeck. You fell from the corpse. Gross. Yeah, we're guts now. Yeah, straight up from Berserk. Yeah, cool. So these are like rogues or thieves. You can get backstab, basically. Spend an omen, and so you're good at omens. You're good at dodging death, stealing things. You have an astounding, preternatural ability to hide in muck, debris, and filth. The first time the scum gets better, another specialty is rolled. The second time the scum gets better, it's possible to re-roll them or just one. Cool. All right, so what do we got? Fang Deserter, Gutterborn Scum, me, Esoteric Hermit. The stones of your cave The stone of your cave is one with the stars, silence and perfection. Now the chaos of a fallen world disturbs your ritual, and the call of night grows blacker than your cavern's gloom. Irritating. I love this dude. So omens are optional because I think if you use classes, you have to use omens. So this is what? The fucking Gandalf of the setting? Let's see here. You can always know the right way. You may open and read from this book once a day. An enemy must make a DR12 test. If they fail, D2 Berserker Slayers appear from the depths of a forgotten dimension of blood. Fuck. Okay. Let's see. You can give people calm and clarity. You can summon random scrolls. You learn the melodies of the underworld. Or you have an intelligent hawk that can go and fight people for you. Ah, damn. Okay. So, Fang Deserter, Gutterborn Scum. Also, this guy looks like he's screaming, meat's back on the menu, boys. Wretched Royalty. Whoa. Whoa. Big Alessandra vibes. And look at the presentation of this page, right? Corpses at her feet. Things are going so well until, right, so a table for why you're not in charge anymore. Bowed down only by the memories of your own lost glory, you could never submit to anyone else, not you of noble blood. So you get a lot of money and some omens. You adjust none of your abilities. But you might get a magnificent and clearly magical talking sword that hates you. You might have Poltroon, the court jester. Barbarister, the incredible horse. Magical, intelligent, arrogant, and vain. Hamfund, the squire. You gotta commit to the Hamfund. Let me read this to you. This intensely cowardly servant acts only as the guardian for the scabbard of the cursed sword, Eurekia. Once per combat, if Ham can be found, Eurekia may be drawn. The sword does 2d6 damage, and for every swing of Eurekia, a d6. On a 1, the squire is slain, and Eurekia vanishes forever. So you have a guy walking around with a sword stuck in him, and then when you get in a fight, you're like, Ham, my sword, shink, and you draw it from him, and every time you swing it, it might kill him and destroy the sword forever. Whoa. That's pretty fucking cool. Oh yeah, you could be a heretical priest. Hunted by the two-headed basilisks of the one true faith, this heretic can be found raving in ruins, traipsing endlessly down dusty roads and desecrating cathedrals by night. Yeah, Hamfund is he's the scabbard, right? Guardian for the scabbard. I just assumed he was the scabbard himself. But yeah, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen the other. You figure out how you want to make Hamfund work. But the heretical priest, let's see, it looks like they get, they have the blasphemous Necrobell Bible. They can only peruse it once per day. They heal after 5 minutes of rest on an even result, or you become plagued with demonic hallucinations. Whoa. If you roll a 6, you get the Wrong Jesus Crucifix. The crucifix can be used in encounters with the undead as well as lesser trolls and goblins. Check morale to see if they bow or kindly remove themselves. Crucifix, wrong Jesus. Because if we flip it, crucifix would be first. Holy shit. So it's a crucifix, but it has someone else on its wood. Okay, all right. And then finally, the Occult Herb Master. Hell yeah, buddy. Light him if you got him. The Occult Herb Master, born of mushroom, raised in glade, watched by the eye of the moon in a silver black pool. Tough as wood, low in protein. You continually search for frequently expended ingredients daily of the materials to create 2 randomly determined decoctions and can brew D4 doses. Red poison, Izumiel's vapor, southern frog stew, Elixir Vitalis, Spider Owl Soup, Ferner's Filter, Hiphos's Enervating Snuff, and the Black Poison. Cool. That's pretty cool. The dude on the left's feeling it. Guys, I think I took too much. Oh, I can hear colors. Yeah, this is the party dealer with their cool guar masks. Awesome. Okay, so speaking of weird, those are the classes. You could be one of those classes, right? Now we're going to get into, I think, monsters. Like Seth the Goblin. Oh my God, I love him. Damn it, Seth. So good. Okay, so here's a cool thing. Killing Seth the Goblin, right? Killing Seth the Goblin and bringing back his head earns you 7 silver. Capturing Seth the Goblin earns you 150 silver. A corpse of Seth the Goblin, 20 silver. So this game knows why you would get engaged with enemies like this, because you want to kill or capture them, right? All goblins carry a curse. Once like you, they're trapped in the prison of their crazed goblin flesh. Only their eyes reveal the truth. A ruined mind watching its body prison perform terrible deeds. Oh no, I'm a goblin. Hit or miss, doesn't matter. In the dark of Sarkash, they shoot at passersby with twanging bows. You must find and kill the goblin who injured you before your mind is paralyzed. If the curse-carrying creature still lives after D6 days, you will warp irrevocably into one yourself. Then only the dark of Sarkash will hide you. So if you get stabbed by Seth the Goblin, you will eventually become a goblin yourself. Also, that's great context. Thank you, Chocobo Remix. Seth is an evil god who murdered his brother Osiris and wounded his son Horus. Seth is represented as having the head of an animal with a long, pointed snoot. Pretty cool. All right, and then this is just a scum. His name is Bent. These are criminals, right? Hairy-faced criminals. That's so good. The PC with the highest presence makes a DR14 test at the start of battle. Failure means a random party member is automatically hit with a cowardly backstab, normal damage +3. That's so good. So if you're going to fight criminals, one of them will stab you in the back unless you have the presence of mind to detect them. It's pretty good. Default backstab. What else we got? Zakuma, a berserker. Holy shit, look at this furry looking bastard. His blood is 3 silver a liter. And they get 2 attacks per round, but refuse to defend. And they're terrifying monsters. And then Wrath, a wraith over here, Wrath. That's pretty cool. So this is a ghost. The lead singer of the band, Ghost. Cool. Soulless phantoms that drain your abilities. Bells, a blood-drenched skeleton. Hell yeah. These are awesome. And then a lich, an undead necromancer. Oh, cool. No one can use powers near this anti-magical wound in reality. Every round, they steal the contents of a scroll and use this power against its owner. Oh man, so liches are anti-wizards. Instead of just undead wizards, they're like negative sorcerers. It's fucking cool. Ah! Arbent, the troll. So big, he gets 2 pages. Cowards, despite their size, they usually retreat if wounded. They grow larger during the healing process. Any healed HP is added to their maximum. That's a cool mechanic. So you injure one, it runs away, it heals, it gets better, you fight it again, and if you can't kill it, it's just gonna get bigger. Oh, man. And then there's some humans for scale. We got zombies. Lady Porcelain. In Tveiland, relic thieves, defamers, and corrupt clerks suffer a punishment of exquisite and deeply impractical cruelty. Their children or grandchildren are enclosed in porcelain dolls, then placed in cathedral windows to die slowly of starvation and heat. It's like if you're a bad clerk, if you're a defamer or a relic thief, your child or grandchild is stolen away from you by the government and put into a porcelain prison to slowly die of starvation and heat. Many return as vengeful undead, gathering in large throngs to hunt their tormentors. God damn. We have a wick-head knife wielder called Aland, which has got a big knife and a head that's a lantern. We got Eulotha, the wyvern. That's badass. She's got an eel head. It's an eel wyvern. Yeah, I skipped over the Thinks because it's a gargoyle. It has a terrifying gaze. But like, yeah, wow. That's pretty fucking cool. Big wyvern. Eel dragons. And then Outcast Followers. Oh, people you can hire to join you. Cool. Okay. So you can get, let's see, Outcast Followers. Make a morale check from time to time. Add the highest presence. Decide whether the group provides the outcast with what it wants. So you could have a wild wickhead join you. You could have a member of the Earthbound. 3 parts human, 1 part dog, carriers of canine blood. You could have a pale one. Oh, so creepy. As if fallen from the stars, pale ones fit in nowhere. An unwilling alienation that makes them destructive and detached. But apparently they'll join your party. Or a prowler, lawless, good-for-nothing crooks. Look at this guy. His corpse paint. So cute. Yeah, they're grays with wings and no eyes. Okay, so I want to show you this page. This is an introductory dungeon crawl, and in case you're going to run it, I'm not going to go through it with you. But so this page, and this was the thing, I got the book, and I opened it, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool. I started going through it, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. But when I reached this page, this was the page that I was like, holy shit. So here, it's gold colored. Look, they put a gold leaf inverted cross at the end of the book. Holy shit. Satan is real and he lives in Sweden. Yeah, pretty fucking cool. And then again, dipping kind of into like gutter punk aesthetic, this like drippy skateboarder, rot black sludge, or the Shadow King's Lost Heir is their introductory adventure. I am just like, I'm blown away. This game is so cool. There's so many good little mechanical things in it that are of like personal interest to me. I want to, before I bid you farewell and send you on your way, I do want to go to the Mork Borg website because there's some cool shit there I want you to see. So get ready to have your eyes blasted out by yellow. Here comes. So the Mork Borg website, you can go and pre-order the game, or you can look at their content. Give me content. So here's the character sheets. Here's the English character sheet. Here's the Swedish character sheet. So if you ever wanted to know what the Swedish word for hit points was, it's trafpoäng. So here's the character sheet. There is another website called Scumbirther. For those of you who either hate paper or are really in a hurry, Scumbirther is the Mork Borg character generator. And then Merchborg. I am buying this t-shirt. I'm going to buy this t-shirt for sure. And then down here, the Mork Borg cult. It's a sub-label for like additional material. So to contribute, write, design, draw, or code content from Mork Borg, and then send it to us. If we pick it and we add it to the MVC, you can't sell it. But after we review it, they decide if they want to keep it. If they pick it up, they'll ostensibly pay you for it and promote it, right? So they want people to make stuff. We welcome any and all content, but we want it to be brief, concise, clever, dark, and weird. We like random tables, monsters, dungeons, and scenarios, a user-friendly toolbox approach before a long prose read, lots of short bullet lists instead of one long text. We want it dark, depressing, and cruel, but we will never accept racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic content. Fuck yeah. Like, this is what I'm saying, right? This is how you do brutal, gritty, hellish role-playing games without being a fucking shithead edgelord, right? This is how you do it. You say, we want it dark, depressing, and cruel, but if you try to make content for our game that is racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic, get the fuck out. We will never accept that. So that's just like, you're doing the work. You are reclaiming the metal aesthetic from all of the Varg Vikernesses of the world, and I salute you for it. Like, I'm so proud of that as a thing, because metal has these problems, right? Heavy metal as a thing has similar problems to the OSR, right? There is sexism in metal. There's definitely homophobia and transphobia in metal. Lots of racism in metal. And if we're going to continue to enjoy it as an aesthetic, as a genre, we all need to do the work that the Mork Borg cult is doing here. So, Johan, Pele, thank you. Thank you for calling this out. So yeah, and then they provide us with optional stuff such as Overland Travel by Svante Landgraf, an additional class called the Pale One by Tim Rudloff. We got the Cursed Skinwalker by Carl Druid. These are amazing. And then French character sheets. If you want to say au revoir to your poor PCs, there you go. So let's make a character, shall we? Should we make a... Oh, shit. Woo, I found a secret. Check it out. Okay, let me refresh the website. I found a secret. Okay, so if you scroll down, normally, you don't get this stuff. But if you scroll up first, it bumps you to an alternate version of the page. And then you can scroll through an introduction. Oh, that's so cool. Hey, way to make a website that's as cool looking as your game. There it is, in the OSR genre. So that's the first time I've seen them refer to it that way. Holy shit, guys. That's fucking cool. That's extremely cool. Yeah. And then here's where you can go and check. They have a Spotify. Oh my God. Hold on. I want to see. Did you make a Mork Borg Spotify? Yes. Ah, fucking sick. Check it out. It's the Mork Borg official playlist. So if you wanna get your bong ripper on, they have made a pretty massive and like fairly kick-ass looking playlist. I know what I'm going to be listening to later this evening. Yes. So this feels like a game that really understands that it's part of an aesthetic and that aesthetic has a connection to other things. And so as a result, you can draw on those other things to give you context for your game. Let's take a look. Let's make a couple of characters real quick in Scumbirther, and then we'll call it a day. And I'm gonna go listen to some fucking heavy metal. So let's see. Our first character is we are Burda, raised in calm isolation in the Sarkash Dark. We're an occult herb master with a portable laboratory, and we have a +3 agility and a -2 presence. Arrogant and suspicious, resting maniac face. You're right, and my name is Burden in English. Resting maniac face, insecure shit stirrer. Hey guys, anybody need a decoction? I brought my lab. All right, let's click to kill this one. Now we are Weymouth. Things were going so well until the southern empire of Sudgland sank into the sea. I am a wretched royalty with the blade of my ancestors, accompanied by Poltroon, the court jester. I have a -1 agility and a -1 presence. And yeah, oh my God. And then I can just hit to print. Is that going to just print this? Badass. Oh, that's great. You could use this to make NPCs too. Also, I like that the color scheme changes every time you click it. God damn. I am very impressed. This is a very cool game. I feel like every time I pick up a game that's like mostly kind of driven by its aesthetics, I worry that the mechanisms are going to be. There's two kinds of rules light games. There's games that are rules light because those are all the rules that you need. And there are games that are rules light because they couldn't be bothered, or because they're OSR games that are like, you just need to know how to play D&D, right? But I think in this game, even though there's no real like GMing chapter, I think it does fall on that, like, you already know how to play D&D. It kind of falls into that category. But I think it's the rules that are light for a reason. I mean, you're not going to get much more than a metal themed kind of like blood opera out of it, but it's pretty damn cool if that's what you're looking for. Yeah, the GMing advice is the aesthetic, I guess, and the example dungeon as well. But yes, this game is absolutely worth getting in physical copy. Plus, you get a bunch of like bonus material as well. But it's pretty damn cool. I'm very impressed with both the aesthetic, and I'm going to remember this game almost purely based on that one end of the world mechanism, which, yeah. Huh. Pondering some thoughts, how to make a mini series out of a game like this. Pretty damn cool. So that's Mork Borg, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. This wasn't a sponsored stream. I did get a copy of the game sent to me by Stockholm Cartel. So thank you for that, Stockholm Cartel. Your game is awesome. I hope a bunch of people go and check it out. Do the pre-order. It's part of Free League Workshop, which I don't. Let me take a look at this. So I think this is their like fan creation, like small press publishing thing. I think it's new, right? Yeah, let's take a look. So Free League, is there a page where I can learn about it? Let's take a look at the news. Alien, Free League Publishing. Yeah, I saw the drive-through link. Let me take a look. Because it sounds to me like it's kind of their GM's guild or whatever. Yeah, here we go. You can publish your own content. Right. So it's a way for Free League to basically set people up to publish their content when otherwise they might. Okay, so it's a way to publish like small press stuff. Yeah. This game feels like a fun thought experiment more than a game. I mean, let's try never to accuse someone's game of not being a game, right? Like that's kind of a low blow and kind of a shit move to do when we're talking about role-playing games. You can say like, I feel like maybe this game is too light for me, or maybe what I need is like some more reason to play it. But saying something like it's more a thought experiment than a game is a real, like, I don't know. I want to back away from that kind of dialogue, right, with games. Yeah, I would be drawn to play this game because the aesthetic is amazing, because it overlaps with a ton of other stuff that I think is cool, and because I could barf forth Black Metallica fairly easily, right? Like I know heavy metal and its vibe well enough that I could wing it with a game like this, and I know what I made up would fit with the aesthetic. So for me it fits aesthetically. But yeah, I mean, it might be too loose, or if you're not into metal, it might not be a thing that, you know, you vibe with necessarily. But for me, definitely, this is right in my wheelhouse. It's very, very cool. So yeah, that's Mork Borg. And yeah, very, very tempted to give it a try. If you want to check it out, just use the Mork Borg command in chat, or if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll paste a link down below in the description of the video where you can go and see it. But I think that's it for our first look at Mork Borg, and I hope that you liked it. I hope you check it out yourself. Otherwise, we'll see you for our next first look, which I think, and I don't think I've announced it yet, but let me look. I think the next first look will be at the Hyperlight Drifter role-playing game. So if you like Neon, come on back for that. Next time we do a first look, we're going to be looking at the Hyperlight Drifter RPG, and we'll get to take a nice look at that. And I love the game. We talked about it a bunch, what kind of RPG it would be. So I'm super excited to see what it looks like once we get our hands on that. So I hope you come back for that. Thank you for coming, everybody. I will see you next time.